have to find the delta. And to find it, we use this second statement here. So remember, we're trying to somehow manipulate this so the inside turns into the absolute value of x minus a. Then in our proof, the first step, you have to state what delta equals, which is what you found in step 1. And then we are stating our goal again. So we have if the absolute value of x minus a is less than delta, then f of x minus L, and then we work it out until we get the less than and the epsilon in there. So this is our process every time. So when you go to try these on your own, you can look at this slide and kind of figure out what you need to do at each point along the way. So I think we have 2 more for us to look at together, and then I was going to give you class time to work on your own so you can ask questions and check them and make sure, because I know it's a lot of variables when we're looking at them. All right, so if we look at example 5, this is what we're trying to prove. So look at our goal. Reference that last slide if you need to. If the absolute value of x minus, what is my a? Negative 3. So minus negative 3 would be x plus 3 is less than delta. Then the absolute value of f of x, what is my f of x? Minus L plus 30 is less than epsilon. So can everybody write this goal statement? We're just looking, the a is this number, this is our f of x, this is our f. So step 1, this is kind of our scratch work. We find the delta value. And to do that, we use the second half of this statement. So we have the 7x minus 9 plus 30 is less than epsilon. What could I do with this? Combine my terms. So negative 9 plus 30 is 21. What can you pull out of that? And the absolute value of 7 is 7, so we can take a positive 7 out. Okay, we are trying to make the inside of the absolute value be the x plus 3, and we've got that. So now we just need to divide by 7, so we have the absolute value of x plus 3 is less than epsilon over 7. So delta will be the epsilon over 7. Does everybody understand how we got that? And I know when I have my delta because it looks just like this statement. So delta is what's in that place. So now, step 2, this is the actual proof. The first thing you have to do is tell me what delta is. So I'm going to say, let delta equal epsilon over 7. And then, the next sentence, we are basically copying down our goal until I get to the less than part. So if the absolute value of x plus 3 is less than delta, then the absolute value of 7x minus 9 plus 30. And now I'm going to work that until I get a less than and an epsilon. So my work is going to be very similar to what I already did. So that's equal to 7x plus 21. You can take out the 7. But I know the absolute value of x plus 3 is less than delta. So 7 times this would have to be less than 7 delta. So I got my less than. Now all we need is the epsilon. But we know delta is equal to epsilon over 7. So we're going to plug that in. So this is 7 times epsilon over 7, which is epsilon. So I got the less than, I got the epsilon, I am done. Yep. Okay. I had 7 times the absolute value of x plus 3. Since I know the absolute value of x plus 3 is less than delta, if you have a 7 in front of it, you just multiply by 7 on both sides. So that has to be less than 7 delta. Other questions? One more. You guys walk me through it. What will my goal be? X. Then someone else tell me the second half.
17x minus 35 plus 50.
Minus 50. Yeah. We had pluses on the last one because it was minus a negative. Is less than epsilon. What's the first step? So to find delta, we use this final inequality. We're going to work backwards from it. Okay, so we can combine my terms. So 17x minus 85 is less than epsilon. What can I pull out of that? And the absolute value of 17 is 17. We're trying to get this inequality that we have with our delta. So we're trying to get the absolute value of x minus 5. So we need to move the 17 over. How do we move that? So delta is, all right, does everybody understand how I got to that point? What's the second step? The actual proof. Every single time, what has to be the first line of my proof? You have to tell me what delta is. So let delta equal the epsilon over 17. Then we are going to restate our goal up until that less than. That's the value of x minus 5 is less than delta. Then the absolute value of 17x minus 35 minus 50. All right, we have to get the complete goal, so now we have to work it out until we have a less than and an epsilon. So our work is pretty similar to what we just did. Inside that absolute value, you can combine like terms. We can factor out the 17. But if we know already that the absolute value of x minus 5 is less than delta, then we could say 17 times the absolute value of x minus 5 is than 17 delta. So there's my less than that we needed. Now all we need is an epsilon, but we already said delta is epsilon over 17. So replace your delta with epsilon over 17, and we get the epsilon.